Guys, Brian back here with another Vechain update. We finally got the breakout of this resistance. Okay, this down sloping resistance started back February, middle of February, and we've been getting rejected off of it ever since. Here you can see right through here, started right there, got rejected here, didn't even make it to the line here. It was showing weakness, rolled over for that last final dip here in this bear market, I believe, and we have gotten the breakout here. All right, we're going to look at areas this thing could go, when it could possibly start moving here in just a second. All right, I want to show you a couple other things that are really crucial to this market. Number one, Bitcoin dominance. All right, if we zoom out here, this thing ended up, I talked about it, double topping. It's exactly what happened here. Okay, it ended up coming up, hitting here, then hitting here, double topped, rolled over, lost our first resistance line right in here. Okay, you can see we were tracking it up, ended up rolling over and lost our second support line that started down here. You can see the reaction it had after it fell through that. All right, if you go out here on the daily, there's a pretty big drop for one day for this thing. If we go in here and measure it, it ended up being just for one day, was at 1.5%. So that's a lot for Bitcoin dominance, but it's down to 51.2. All right, Bitcoin itself, Bitcoin's getting ready to make a move. This thing is winding up. Okay, I'm going to show you here. Zoom in here on a 4-hour. I want to show you how consolidated this price action is getting. Look at this. I mean, this thing is just ranging in here. Really, it's bull flagging in here. Okay, just going sideways in here after this big move up here. These RSIs needed to cool off on this thing. All right, you can see the 4-hour down here is heading up. All right, the 12-hour is on the floor. There you go. So this thing's looking like it's ready to go. We need to flip that 31,500 bucks. And Vechain, as long as I've been in this market, when Bitcoin pumps, Vechain pumps. It seems to be very correlated with it. All right, we have the DXY. The DXY is printing a lower low, or lower high. I'm sorry. You can see I drew this line here a couple weeks ago. That's what we wanted to see come in here. All right, when this thing had this high here, and we had a lower high come in right there. Now we're looking for a lower high to come in after that. On the daily, you can see the RSI rolling right over here. So it's just about ready to flip bearish. It's at an 80.3 and an 80.04. And if I could ask you to please hit the like and subscribe, I would appreciate that so much, guys. We got the total market cap of crypto. It was wedging up here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see the lines a little bit better on that thing. Okay, you can see that thing was wedging up in here. It has broke out from that. It's up to $1.16 trillion right now. This thing's getting ready to go too. You can see the 12-hour RSI heading up. The daily, which I always like to look at on these things, that thing's turning back up, but the weekly is the big one. Look at this thing. That thing is just turning up and looking fantastic. All right, we flipped that $1.287 trillion. We flipped that into support, and things are going to get really interesting in this market. It's going to get a little crazy, I guarantee that. The total too, this is the total market cap without Bitcoin. Okay, you can see this thing is just barely, it is breaking out of this wedge. Okay, you can see that breakout right there. That's on the weekly. The weekly RSI is at a 24 and a 13. Look at that down here on the floor. That's beautiful. I love seeing that. I've been waiting for that for a long time. Last time that happened was back last Christmas. So it's been a long ride here. It's good to see that weekly flipped back over. The daily, we had that inverse head and shoulders down here. Ended up getting that break. You can see we got the breakout and we got the retest here on this thing. So it's ready to go. Vechain, let's get the vet here. Wanted to make this a really quick video here. Okay, you can see that resistance that we got the breakout from. This thing's come back and back tested at 0.0198. Okay, you can see the candle is getting sucked up there pretty good. Now if we go out here zoom out a little bit because I want to show you here. Got some volume coming in on this thing. Look at the volume down here. It came in the other day. All right, compared to back through. We put a line on this. You can see, the difference through here. Whoops, I apologize. Let me pull that back down there. So we have had some volume coming in on this thing. Nice big spike there. We want to see more coming in, more like that, to back this breakout up. All right, I believe this is just the beginning of this thing. This looks like a possible one wave here. 1, 2, this 3 wave should be a pretty good breakout of that 0.0212. That's where we hit resistance up here on this. Now if you look at these RSIs, that daily is at the 98 and the 95. The 12 hour, definitely won't go over these because that tells kind of tells us what's going on here. The 12 is rolling over a little bit. It's at a 64 and a 72, but you can see the bottom here, that thing, it's getting ready to take off here. Let me zoom into the 4 hour and show you what I'm talking about so you can see this. Whoops, let me put that back. There we go. We're going to lock that into place. I didn't know that was unlocked. But you can see we're getting a breakout here of this resistance line. There we go. We're just on the verge of breaking out here. You can see we're right up against that right now. We have the 1 hour heading up. That thing is starting to curve a little bit, so this thing could play around in here for a little bit till Bitcoin decides what it wants to do. It could come up against here, come back down, come back up against it before we finally get a breakout of this thing. Or it could take off from right here. All right, it's going to really depend on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been going sideways and choppy, and ever since this thing, that's when Bitcoin was moving, this thing really started going. If we go into daily and look here, this breakout really started back here on Friday. We got this big move here. If you go back to Bitcoin, okay, get back to Friday, you can see all the volatility we had with this massive suck down here, but it had a lot of volatility that day. Went up to 31,300. That's what really got Vechain, that breakout there. I've held VET for a very, very long time. I know how correlated it is with Bitcoin, so I'll be keeping an eye on this, guys. But expect this thing to start moving here. I expect Bitcoin to really start doing something here. That price, as much as it's consolidating and tightening up, it's getting ready to do something here within the next day or so, that's for sure. So alright guys, thank you so very much. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night, everybody.